Hello there, fellow zombies. Josh here with the Zombie Cure. So today we are going to talk about data mining and common Facebook scams. Just because I've had a lot of people argue with me when I call them out for actually falling for them. Hey, you're trying to take away my fun. Oh, they have my birthday anyway. Well, that's not all they're getting. Sure, they can go out, they can research your information, they can find it, but to scammers, they're just like business owners. Time is money. So they like to put you in what I call gullible buckets. Now, that's probably not the name for it, but I will explain what that is here in a minute. But first, I'm going to kind of go over a few common Facebook scams that you're going to see, or just even on the internet. And the first big one, and I encourage you to Google this, is called like farming. Like farming is something where you see somebody putting up a post that says, this boy has cancer, he deserves at least 200 likes, and then next thing you know, it has a million of them, and then exactly what happens is they will edit that post to contain some sort of malicious link, or they'll switch it out completely for them trying to sell a botched product. And you're looking at it going, oh, my friend, Fred and George, they liked it, so I'm going to check this out. And then when you click on it, that is how your account gets hacked. Or they also put you into gullible buckets. In other words, they're collecting a bunch of names of people who actually fall for this, and then they sell that information to other scammers, because scammers want people who are gullible enough to actually fall for them, because that's who they're going to make money on. They don't make money off of educated people, so that's why I'm here trying to educate you on this stuff. So again, Google like farming. You're going to get tons of information. You'll see the different ways they do that. Another one of my favorite scams are novelty scams, and they come in a way that makes you respond, or makes you want to respond, whether it's something nostalgic from the 80s, or it comes in the form of a questionnaire. When was your first kiss? What was the first kind of car you drove? Things like that. And it'll have a big long list, and what you're doing is you're actually giving out personal information so scammers can actually use that in many, many different ways. And I'll tell you an example of one that happened to me a couple years ago. Hopefully this will change your mind about actually responding to them. They also come in the form of memes. Memes that ask you a question, never answer them, no matter what the question is or how harmless it seems. Because they're not. Because even you responding to them, you're being put in those gullible buckets. They want people who will answer their questions, and that's a good way for them to find out. So there's also predictive text scams. Really stay away from that, because you do not know what they're doing with that information. And a lot of them, yeah, they may be harmless, like finding out what your birthday is. That's pretty easy information to find, but what they're doing is they're narrowing in on the people who actually fall for those in order to engage in more serious questions down the road, and therefore finding ways to maybe do identity theft or various other things. All this stuff you can find online, about how to avoid them. So most people say, well, some of these questions are harmless. Well, they're not. And I'll give you an example of one that happened to me. Now, basically, I got a call from a local number. I answered it, and right away it clicked. It hung up. And then about 10 seconds later, I get a text with about 7 or 8 pictures of dead bodies, people's heads decapitated, things as such, with a message, and it also had a picture of my house, my address, my full name, and said, if you don't pay $3,000, the same thing's going to happen to you and your family. Now, I was educated enough to know that this was a scam, but I was not educated enough to know that how it even got to that point. And basically, by giving very little information to the wrong source, they found out a lot of information about me. They knew I was gullible enough to actually fall for it, but luckily I was educated enough to other people that had that happen to them. But this is something you don't want to end up on your kid's phone. There's also something called ransom scamming. Google that one. I'm not going to get into it, but it's really gross stuff that people do. Also, if you think it's harmless, period, well, if you end up in a gullible bucket, you're probably more than likely one of those guys that gets 2 or 3 auto warranty calls a day, because your name has been sold as somebody who would more than likely fall for that. So your phone probably rings more often than mine. So the cure for all this, just don't answer anything off Facebook or like and share anything unless you know the author directly. And even then, if it seems fishy, call the author and let them know, hey, did you post this? That's all you got to do. Anything else, just read it. You don't have to respond to everything. Nothing out there is nostalgic from somebody you don't know, so stay away from it. Read it, maybe think about it in your head, but never give out any information, even if it seems harmless. Anyways, it's just an observation, and I appreciate you watching.